Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. Daryl Rampersad of the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago warns that local farmers face severe financial challenges due to inefficient import processes for essential machinery and high operational hurdles. So the government pretending as though they care about the agricultural sector, and yet they're not resolving these issues. Why? The question is why. He notes that despite government promises to support food security, bureaucratic delays at ports hinder rather than help everyday farmers. You see what I'm talking about? Okay then. Furthermore, Rampersad criticizes the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, for lengthy loan approval times, stating that funding often arrives too late to be useful for intended crop season. He calls for reforms to the bank, including lower interest rates and faster processing times. That is good advice. To better support, or suggestions, to better support the agricultural community. Let's see what the when UNC wins, everybody wins administration will do pertaining to this issue. The groundbreaking ceremony for the New Island International Hospital recently took place in Aranguez. This major project aims to improve local healthcare by building a modern private, listen to the word where private is, so you can't really give over no big set of credit to the government. But, so a modern private medical facility in the area. The hospital will help the community by creating new jobs, so that's still good, boosting local economy, and giving residents faster access to high quality medical treatments where they live. Several government officials attended the event to show their support, which is still good. Khadija Amin, a really hard-working member of the Kamala administration, it's just that it's really sad that your prime minister is destroying her party, your party, Khadija, as well, and our country by extension. But nevertheless, so Khadija Amin, the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, joined Divish Maraj, who is the Member of Parliament for Aranguez St. Joseph and the Minister of Justice. Together, they celebrated the start of construction, which marks a big step forward in developing better infrastructure and services for the region.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago Monday, June 15, 2026. The weather in Trinidad and Tobago on Monday, June 15, 2026 will feature isolated early morning showers giving way to mostly fair, hazy and at times breezy conditions. Temperatures will reach a maximum high of 32 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius and drop to an overnight low of 25 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius with a heat index reaching 35 degrees Celsius. A moderate concentration of Saharan dust will be present in the atmosphere, so sensitive individuals should take necessary precautions. Marine conditions will feature moderate seas in open waters with waves near 2.0 meters. In sheltered areas, waves will range from 1.0 to 1.5 meters and become occasionally choppy. Winds will blow from 0.8 to 40 kilometers per hour from the northeast to east to southeast.
Regional news now. President Dr. Irfan Ali on Saturday floated the idea of introducing a weekly family day initiative that would see a major street in Georgetown, Guyana, closed to vehicular traffic, creating a dedicated space for families to gather, exercise, socialize, and spend quality time together. Now, that to me is a wonderful idea. Something we could probably even consider here in Trinidad and Tobago. Because getting back to the communities, I keep telling people that we need to focus on rebuilding our community centers and so forth. That is how you will be able to target the youths to get them off the streets. I ain't hearing anything from the government talking about that either. The proposal was announced as the president delivered congratulatory remarks at the centennial celebration of the Caribbean Union Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church at the National Cultural Center. Wonderful. Renegotiating the Jamaica Public Service Company's electricity license alone will not resolve the country's energy challenges, and Jamaica must begin preparing now for nuclear technology deployment within the next decade, says Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. That's why I'm telling you I like him. It's a good Prime Minister. Mediocre performance thus far, but hopefully he will up his game. We cannot place all our hopes for reduction on a renegotiated license. We must now explore in meaningful ways the large-scale deployment of alternative energy sources. Holness said at the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce 41st Annual Awards Banquet on Thursday night. We must prepare ourselves to be able to deploy nuclear technology. It's going to be a decade or so, but to be able to deploy that, you have to prepare from now, he said, describing nuclear technology as the de facto clean energy resource. The Prime Minister reiterated that license renegotiations talks with JPS are actively underway, which is really important for now because you're talking about years from now. With the government seeking to lock in major cost reductions for households and businesses through the new agreement. Holness comments came days after an island-wide power outage on June 5th, Jamaica's first all-island system shutdown since April 2016 and the sixth since 2006. The government has intensified public pressure on both the government. The situation, has intensified public pressure on both the government and JPS ahead of the utilities license expiration. Israel Defense Force strikes a Hezbollah command center in Beirut's Daya district that was used to plan and advance attacks against Israeli civilians and IDF soldiers. Following Hezbollah's launch of aerial targets toward Israeli territory earlier yesterday, the IDF conducted a precise strike on a Hezbollah command center in Daya, Beirut. And that is what Trump condemning them for taking action against individuals who attacked them. So I'm telling you, King Trump thinks here as though he is the commander of the whole world, commander-in-chief of the world forces. Boldface. According to the IDF, the command center was used by Hezbollah to plan and advance attacks against Israeli civilians and IDF soldiers operating in southern Lebanon. Prior to the attack, the IDF states that measures were taken to mitigate harm to civilians. That's the difference between the terrorists like Hezbollah. Israel, the IDF, don't go after civilians. If civilians end up staying, well, that is your choice. They tell them to leave, evacuate. So prior to the strike, the IDF states that measures were taken to mitigate harm to civilians, including the use of precise munitions and aerial surveillance. So they were watching to make sure that there weren't any big set of crowds, civilian crowds that were around at that point in time during when the strike took place. According to a security source quoted by I-24 News, the assessment in Israel is that Iran will eventually strike Israel regardless of any concessions or guarantees that Donald Trump might offer Tehran to avoid escalation. Exactly. Israel knows that Iran, the Ayatollah regime and the IRGC are only playing games with Trump. Israel knows that those agreements will never last. They will never keep the promise. Terrorists don't keep the promises. And they were told that they can, by their own religious beliefs, that they have all rights to lie in order to accomplish their agenda. The same source, however, states that all options remain on the table regarding Washington's determination to reach an agreement with Iran, while diplomatic efforts continue despite the tensions caused by the Israeli strike in Beirut. Yeah, Trump continues to try to play games with Iran, terrorists, while trying to bully Israel into submission. No, thankfully, Benjamin Netanyahu is taking a stand and saying, we shall defend ourselves, whether you like it or not, President Trump. Ukrainian President Zelensky says he had a great conversation with President Trump during a phone call on Trump's 80th birthday. Happy birthday, belated birthday to President Trump. Of course, I don't like what you're doing in the Middle East, but nevertheless, blessings to you. As the two leaders prepare to meet at G7 later this week in France. He said, I congratulated President Trump on his birthday, and we have had quite a detailed discussion about many key things. Peace surely was among them. I wish President Trump every success above all in his work to end Russia's war against Ukraine, Zelensky said. Trust me, Zelensky, you're basically on your own. You have to try to fight your battles on your own. Putin does not care about Trump, has no respect for Trump. And everybody's basically losing respect for Trump as well because they realize he's just a talker. He acts it or he acts. He's asked far more than Biden. But he acts a little bit just to try to, intimidate people and then goes back to talk. So trust me, Zelensky, you're basically on your own.
Bible quote of the day. Matthew 6:1-3. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all, in Jesus' name.